All right, I do believe we are all set and ready to go for episode 65 of the On the Hunt podcast. My name's Elijah Winfrey. Joining me tonight, I've got my brothers with me. I've got Nate Rucker, our resident defensive coordinator and local celebrity, apparently, in Detroit, Michigan. We also have the number one Lions fan you know. Yeah, that's right. He is Galaxy known. It is number one Lions fan, Mr. Bobby Bless. Bobby, we're going to start with
What's
you, man. How are you doing?
man? I'm good, man. I'm back to the regular where Wednesday is my off day, so it's my off day. I guess the Lions off too, so but just ready to talk about some football, man. Other than yelling at ESPN when I see the ticker. Other than that, how my brother Nate doing? What's up, big dog?
Dog, man, you know what, man? I've been missing y'all. I've been back. Y'all know, man, a lot of work, doing double duty, making as much money as possibly can. Got a lot of different things that's coming up in the future. So feels good to be back. Miss y'all. Y'all been holding it down. I may have missed it during the live, but I make sure to always watch the whole thing, when I get a chance. So as long as people know, hey, I watch our show too completely, just so y'all know.
Then you have to cuss Elijah out or something. I remember you cussed Elijah out about something on there.
Man, I don't know. Elijah, that to cut you out about something? What'd you do?
I don't remember. Oh well,
No, was it like he wasn't advertising enough or something?
oh,
Oh, yeah, our little promoting, so everybody, man, make sure y'all like, subscribe, and share as much as y'all possibly can. Hey, make sure y'all put it in the comments. If y'all put it in the comments, we will make sure that we spread it out. Put in the comments right next to your name, and we will give you that shout out on the air. So that way, hey, they'll know that you are rocking with us. So that's just the way it is.
so I got a couple of stories to share with y'all, and I'm going to multitask because I'm sharing that tonight's episode at the same time as talking. So, first up, this is something that I'm really proud about. I'm very excited about it, and that is that we have got an official premiere date for Captain Corpse. I did not have this 2 weeks ago when we did our last episode. So, here's the deal: July 20th at 7 p.m. down in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, we're going to be premiering Captain Corpse. And I'm very excited about that. And I wanted to show you guys why I'm so excited about that. Okay, so first, let me go ahead and share my screen here so that I can show you guys what's going on. So it should be sharing any minute now. I believe it is right now, which is good. So here's the deal. So Smod Castle Cinemas, like I said, they are located in New Jersey, Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey. And I'll show you guys on Google Maps where that is here in a moment. But Smod Castle Cinemas, as you can see, we're right there on the website. We got a 7 o'clock showing on July 20th. Smodcast Cinemas is owned by director Kevin Smith. So if anybody is familiar with, Jay and Silent Bob, the Clerks movies, Mallrats, Dogma, Chasing Amy, any of those type of movies, it's
Hey,
that.
Dogma was a good movie. I hate to cut you off. That was one of my
No, it was
favorites.
a great movie, great movie. He bought this theater back in his hometown. So it's kind of cool for me to be able to show my movie there because, for folks who don't know, Kevin Smith made his first movie by kind of using his credit card and using his friends, to be in the film. And, he was an independent filmmaker before he ever made it big. And so I'm trying to kind of do the same thing. I'm trying to go from independent filmmaker to household name. And so, it's kind of cool to get the opportunity to show my movie at his theater. So I just wanted to open up the show with that for anybody in the New Jersey area. July 20th. I hope to see you down there. Tickets are $10, and of course we'll post that link on our various pages as well. And yeah, we're very excited about the potential here to hopefully pack the house and make a good impression. I will say there's no guarantee that Kevin Smith himself will be there, but I have heard by him, in various podcast episodes that he does on his shows, that he actually lives above the theater when he is on the East Coast. So there's a chance he might actually be there and he might see my film, which would be really, really cool. But that was obviously a very big, opportunity there to be able to, showcase the movie. And I also wanted to show you guys where Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey is because I thought this would be kind of funny. So um, with that, let's look at how far, by the way, that's Kevin Smith. In case you don't know what he looks like, that's what he looks like. But Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, I thought this would be fun. So I got my Google Maps pulled up. Bobby, you ready to go on an adventure with me?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So I'm going to type in where I am, which is Messina, New York. So let's go zoom in on Messina. There we go. And now let me show you where we're going, all right, to show this movie. So Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey is going back out. That's how far I'm traveling to show this film, about 7 hours. So I'm pretty excited about it. We're going to go on a little road trip there. But Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, it's kind of cool because apparently you can actually sit on the kind of the bank there in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey. And if you look across on a clear day, you can see right into New York City.
Wow.
So I'm pretty excited about it. But again, July 20th, of this year, obviously, that is when we'll be showing Captain Corpse. And then after that, I am trying to get a couple other premieres set up. One other thing I wanted to let you guys know before I tell you a story, we are currently raising money for our third feature film for the studio called Fourth Coast Killer. It is a horror film. We're trying to make it like a slasher movie, kind of like Friday the 13th meets the Zodiac Killer. So if folks are interested in donating to that, obviously I would greatly appreciate that. We got a GoFundMe going on right now, and we're trying to raise $17,000. And if we can raise that money, that will provide 39 jobs, not just for our studio members, but also for some community creatives up here in Northern New York. So I know for some folks, that's not going to be of interest to you, but to others, again, every little bit helps as we try to raise this money so that we can make this third film. Usually I fund my films by going and getting, basically taking in as many hours at my job as I possibly can. And go try to get a loan and things like that. But, some people have told me on the last two films, hey, if we knew you were fundraising, we'd help out. So that's kind of me telling y'all. And if y'all want to help out, like I said, I would greatly appreciate that. All right, last thing before we get to Lions free agency news. So I was in Syracuse over the weekend, and I was with our good buddy Jim Moscatello, which Nate and Bobby know Jim because he's the lightsaber man, but he also has been in both of my previous films. So one of the things that Jim does with his lightsabers is obviously he goes out to these conventions to sell his lightsabers, but usually these conventions have some celebrity guests. So what he will do is he will take a lightsaber for free and give it to a celebrity guest, just as a thank you to them for doing a convention up near us. Because, we realize we're pretty far up here in the state of New York. So I always thought that was really cool that he does that. And this weekend in Syracuse, there was the original Ninja Turtles, and there was also some Power Rangers there. And so I was walking around the convention hall and I was looking for Jim. And somebody told me that he was over giving the Power Rangers a lightsaber. So I walked over and there he was giving the Blue Ranger a free lightsaber to say thank you. Now, Jim had already given the guy the lightsaber and he was kind of walking down the line to give another one to another Power Ranger. But I looked over at the Blue Ranger and he's like talking about how cool this lightsaber is, right? I look next to him and he has a gentleman sitting next to him who is kind of looking like, maybe he's not having the greatest time at Comic-Con. So me just being me, I go over to him and I say, hey man, my name's Elijah, how's it going? He said, well, my name's Aaron and it's going okay. He said, normally I don't get jealous, but I just saw, my guy over here get a lightsaber and I'm a huge Star Wars fan and I didn't get one. And so I said to him, well, hey, I happen to know the guy who's giving out the lightsabers. He's been in both of my movies. And Aaron says to me, he said, oh, you make movies? I'm a film producer. And I didn't realize that, he was a film producer. I was only just trying to check on the guy because it looked like
Right.
in a room full of fun, he was not having a whole lot of fun. And so him and I got to talking. Turns out he's from Detroit, Southfield specifically, and he moved out to LA. And he just so happens to be a Lions fan. So I was telling him about the movies we make, the podcasts we do, all that good stuff. But it was just so cool. And I went over to Jim and I said, hey, Jim, there's this gentleman over here. He's a film producer. And Jim says, you want to give him a lightsaber? So Jim let me give Aaron Coney, a lightsaber, which was pretty cool. So I just thought that was interesting how in Syracuse, New York, just me, checking up on somebody turned into me meeting a film producer who happens to be a Lions fan. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is. Just your good heart send you into a lot of places. And believe it or not, Elijah, it ain't your looks. It ain't your money you got. It's your attitude that's going to open up a lot of doors for you, man. And just having that attitude of, hey, man, what's going on? You never know who you hey man to,
That's right. And I do want to give Aaron a shout out. Aaron Coney. He has a company called Hustle Matters Media. So he obviously, like I said before, he produces films and things like that. But he also is a talent manager. So he will go around to different conventions and book different events for, these, former Power Rangers and things like that, so they can get out there and meet their fans, which is a really interesting job when you think about it. But I wanted to give him a shout out because he was telling me about how much he loves the Lions. So I thought, you know what? Why not give him a shout out? And he loved this hat, by the way, Bobby. So I got to say thank you because he was like, he said, what's up with the hat? Thinking that I was just wearing a hat because it had a lion on it. And I'm like, no, I'm a Lions fan. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
that hat will open up a lot of doors also.
That's right. So let's get to Detroit Lions news, obviously. We got a lot of it to go over. I want to go to Nate Rucker first. Nate, what did you think, just overall impression before we actually get to some of the names, overall impression of what we've done so far in free agency? He's speechless.
I think he might be off.
He might not be right there. But okay, so let's go less. Bobby, overall.
Oh, so I'm second choice. No, anyway, no, no, man. To be honest, other than other off seasons, we looking for that one hit wonder. It's like the first off season where I'm like, okay, we got a good team, and wait. Before I even go in on my analysis, look at my sign. That's how I feel. That's how I was feeling the whole time. I was a Lions fan long before it was cool. So, but back at it. But it's like I didn't hear like superstar guys, not in a negative light, but more so like we pick more. Like I'm impressed. I'm like intrigued by the guys we picking because Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell always talking about their kind of guy, the guy that fits in this locker room. So the fact that I haven't heard of like the Banks kid from Tampa Bay,
right?
Like I watched both the games. I remember him getting interceptions, but I didn't consider him like a superstar signing. But I also seen his work, So I felt like that he a grit guy, or especially with the Ravens guy we just picked up last night, offensive lineman, guard, that's grit guy. So I'm intrigued at that. And I'm also intrigued at the fact that they keeping People Jones, not in a negative light, but more so like they giving him a chance to earn a decent spot on this team because they believe in him. Because obviously it's looking like we're not gonna keep Josh Reynolds. So it's interesting to see that, and we got Peoples Jones in the beginning. I mean, in the middle of the season. So it's interesting to see how he's going to perform full off season under Ben Johnson's system. I'm kind of intrigued by that too. And another thing, we didn't go overspend for no defensive line guy or no corner. We picked good glue guys, but we didn't had to overpay them. And a lot of times, with the I hate to say it, the same old Lions, we seem like we had to overpay guys to come here, and now we able to spread that money around because guys is taking them a little bit less to come with the Lions, and that help us in the long run. That's the main thing, big dog.
Yeah, and I would have to agree with that. That in years past, it was like, oh no, please, not Detroit, and now it's like, oh please, Detroit. Like I want to go there. I don't mind if I got
send him to Detroit.
Yeah, I want to go there and see what we can do. I'm going to run down the list here for folks who maybe haven't been keeping up with the free agency moves. These are the outside players that were signed by the Lions. Okay, so these are people who were on different teams before, who we have now. First up, edge Mateo Betts. Now that happened prior to really the start of free agency. He was a talented CFL player, defensive.
Oh, right.
He led the CFL in sacks, but
we talked about him, right? Didn't we talk about him?
We haven't yet.
No, it's another CFL kid we talked about. Okay.
Yeah. But Betts, like I said, he is an edge rusher. We picked him up for a 1-year deal. $795,000, and we got the best defender out of the Canadian Football League. So not bad. I'll be curious to see how he works out. We got edge rusher Marcus Davenport from the Minnesota Vikings. Now the important thing with that, which I at first when I heard his name, I'm like, oh okay, but then I heard where he used to play. He used to play for the Saints. So he knows Aaron Glenn, he knows Dan Campbell, and I think that's going to bode well. And then you've got cornerback Amik Robertson, who ended up, or let me back up for a second. Marcus Davenport had a 1-year, $6.5 million deal. So that was the number on that. Then cornerback Amik Robertson had a 2-year deal worth $9.25 million in total. Then you had defensive tackle DJ Reader, who got a 2-year deal, which is worth up to $27 million. And then the player that Bobby was talking about that we got just a little bit ago from the Ravens is Kevin Zeitler, who was an offensive guard.
Three-time Pro Bowler.
Right. And it's being reported that he's on a 1-year deal. We don't know the financials of that just yet. But those were the players that we added through free agency, that weren't on the team before. Now, you may notice I did not mention Carlton Davis. That's because Carlton Davis was a trade. He was not a free agent. He was a trade. Yeah. But we got him from the Buccaneers, and a lot of people seem to be pretty happy with that. And I'll say this. I'm not unhappy with it, but I kind of feel like I'm I have so much comfort with the just trust Brad Holmes. I don't find myself really analyzing every single free agent pick like I would in the past. Because I'm just assuming at this point that if the man says that we need him, then we need him. You know? So that's kind of how I'm looking at it as far as these free agent moves and these trades are going on. But I also will say, we're going into year 4 now of Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, which they got an extension, by the way. So they're
well deserved.
They're going to be here till 2027, I do believe. But I'm noticing a trend as far as who they go out and get when they do have money. Okay. It seems to me that Brad Holmes is never going to be somebody to go out and get the hottest name in free agency. Yeah. That's not his style. Yeah. It seems like what he enjoys doing is obviously building through the draft, which we already knew. But when it comes to free agency, it seems like he wants to go after the people who are either not appropriately valued yet,
and want to prove it, huh, Elijah?
Right. They want to prove
got something to prove it, yeah.
Or they're injured, so they're going to come in on a discount.
Right.
You know, and so far, knock on wood, the philosophy of, you know, going out and getting injured players, I shouldn't say injured players, I should say players coming off an injury, that hasn't bit us in the ass yet. You know, now it very well could at some point, but I'm not going to
Well,
put that in the universe.
that's if you want to count Mosley.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, because never mind. I didn't want to undercut you, but Mosley is.
No,
Yeah,
you're
I think
right. You're right. I wasn't
because
thinking about him. I wasn't thinking about Mosley, but I'm just saying that seems to be a trend. Like he's either going to get people that have something to prove or they're coming off an injury. And because they're coming off an injury, they're not walking into the room with the Lions saying, I want a whole big old bag of money. Instead of saying, listen, I want to get back on the field. So I will take a 1-year deal with you so that if it works out between us, we can extend it or we can make a new deal. Or if it doesn't work out between us, hey, you still got me for a year. And now I got tape that I can show other teams saying, hey, I am healthy. I can do this. Because you look at like a CJ Gardner-Johnson, right? And I know a lot of people are upset with him right now because of a tweet that he didn't even tweet.
But yeah, I'm glad they got that together for us because I was like, dude, stop. I was ready to go in on him.
But CJ Gardner-Johnson, he was very much in that situation, you know? I mean, he left the Eagles and, you know, it was kind of one of those things where, you know, he didn't have a huge market for his services. So he needed to go somewhere for a year and then test the market again. And that's exactly what he did. But ironically, he ended up back in Philadelphia after it was all said and done. But it just seems to me that is what Brad Holmes is looking for. He's looking for players with something to prove or players that are going to come in humbled in a way, because then he can work a deal that's, you know, for the betterment of the Lions. And I am waiting for the Amon-Ra St. Brown contract extension announcement. And I'm surprised we haven't gotten it yet, but I'm assuming that's because both.
Oh, it's happening. It's happening. I ain't even worried about that. It's happening.
So, Bobby, I'm not sure if Nate is I see Nate on the screen, but I don't see Nate.
Oh, you know what? I've been sitting here and I just noticed it's been on pause, on stop the video camera the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Because I tried to send it to you. I tried to send it to you. I said, Nate, what do you think about this free agency class? And there was no response. So I said,
yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm watching this. I'm like, okay, I'll just let them have a moment.
so Nate, let me get you in here and then I'll toss it over to Bobby.
I got a couple questions. I'm glad the defensive coordinator back because I gotta ask him a couple questions too.
Okay. So Nate, first thing first, free agency class, all these people that we got. What do you think?
I definitely like the Zettler signing, which was today. He's going to slide into guard, being a Pro Bowler. Marvin Davenport, that's more so of a wait and see thing. You know, I love the fact that Donovan Peoples-Jones came back.
Yeah,
and everything else. So far it's typical Lions. Like there's no bow chicken wow type move.
Sorry, man.
But for the time being, I think he's doing okay. Especially the thing about that, we got to the NFC Championship without those moves.
Yeah.
So I'll roll with it.
Bobby, you said you had a couple questions for Nate?
Yeah, real quick. You thinking Melifonwu and Brian Branch, between them two, we replacing Gardner-Johnson with that, or?
Well, yeah, because the thing was that's one of the reasons why Gardner-Johnson did not, in my opinion, didn't get a contract offer to him. The Lions had a luxury where these guys stepped up, they were ready, they were professional. Melifonwu showed what he was about. Blitzing the quarterback, sacking the quarterback, also creating turnovers. So I'm good with that for real. I'm a roll
yeah. That's how I was thinking. Like, because I'm saying, like, with them both being able to do a little bit of both, you can disguise what they do more.
Yes.
They can move them around in the secondary type thing. So I'm like, people calling for. I know you've seen it. for us to draft safeties and stuff, I think we're cool there, but we can always have one. But I don't think we need one top in the draft. I'm more interested in like pass rusher, maybe even linebacker type for that defense. But I
Yeah.
definitely think if not a guy that's in between both. I really think that's where the defense, where Brad Holmes will hit home in the draft, and being that I think he like more already known as glue guy type, like locker room guys, good
Right.
workers, something to prove guys in the free agency. But
Uh-huh.
for the main cogs of this team, other than quarterback, I feel like Brad Holmes, he getting them out the draft, and with the player coaching that we do have, we teach them while they're young, so they already don't have an ego. Because when they first get in the league, that's when they're more likely willing to listen. So for me, this is just a Bobby opinion. The foundation and the meat of this team is going to be in the draft, so don't be so tied up on free agency. Because let's be honest, the best players that on this team, Brad Holmes brings to this team. So got to let the man cook.
So
Absolutely.
just to hop in here with some more Lions announcements. So obviously we just got finished talking about the players that we brought in from other teams. Here is the list of players that were on our team that we brought back, just so everybody has that list, okay? So tight end Shane Zystra signed a one-year, $985,000 deal. Guard and center Graham Glasgow, he's back with us on a 3-year, $20 million deal. Linebacker Jalen Reeves-Maybin, he signed a $7.5 million, which is fantastic. I'm so happy for Jalen. I don't know him personally, but I'm just happy for him. And I also wanted to say congratulations to him because he got elected president of the NFL Players Association. So that's pretty cool to be able to say that we have the NFLPA president on our roster. So I just thought that would be kind of something worth mentioning there. Moving on, Emmanuel Mosley. He is back on a 1-year, $2 million deal. I would be very curious to see. I will be very curious to see. What is he able to do with that? I felt so bad for him last year because he finally got back on the field and ends up getting hurt, one or two plays after being on the field. So I like what he has done when he's on the field, but it's about staying on the field. But he's coming back, 1-year, $2 million deal. Kicker Michael Badgley, the Money Badger. Yeah, he is coming back on a 1-year, $1.3 million deal. And I just want to put this out there. I'm not saying that we need to draft a kicker, but I really would like to see Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell put a little bit more, how do I want to put it, focus on the kicker situation. Like, I understand that Riley Patterson, he was having a good season, and then I think he got injured. But it's like, can we have a kicker that we can count on? Because, like, the Kansas City Chiefs, for example, they ain't got to worry about their kicker situation. They know it's Harrison Butker. It's been Harrison Butker. In fact, he's a 3-time Super Bowl champion, Harrison Butker. And it's like, we don't have that. Like, I remember when we had Jason Hanson, and we knew we had Jason Hanson. Like, if it was a field goal, we're not wondering what guy off the street this week is kicking, okay?
Right, Elijah.
But it
I
seems like the last 3 years we have been running the longest NFL punt pass kick competition, and I just really would like to see some stability in that area. So maybe Michael Badgley is that guy, but I will also say that we didn't go to him very much, in that last game of the season, and it kind of makes me wonder if it's because of his range, because people will tell you he doesn't have a lot of range to his kicks, especially 50 plus. That's kind of an issue for him. So
Elijah, he's stealing money. To be honest, I don't really care for him like that. Nothing against the kid. I bet if he got chances to kick, just being a optimistic guy I am, I'm just assuming he would make them. But Dan Campbell don't want to even bother with the dude. Like, dude,
right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I would much rather pay somebody that we never use in that position because Dan Campbell's going to go for it. But we know that if we have to use him, it's a guarantee. You know, it's virtually a guarantee that
Right.
So that's all I'm saying is like Michael Badgley, like I said, he's good until it gets to 50 yards plus. And then
Right.
it gets shaky. And like I said, maybe that'll be something he develops over time, but I don't know. I don't like being nervous whenever we
And
go
then
to
he must can't throw or nothing because Dan Campbell do all the fakes and stuff. He ain't never do a fake field goal with the dude. So
right.
man, he ain't like I don't want to be mean, but
but I'm gonna look.
He got to do something, bro. He got to do something. Damn.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just, for me, like I said, he, I wish that we had somebody in that position that was going to be there for a long time. You
ever seen the movie Longest Yard, Elijah?
Yeah, I have.
No,
I love that movie.
Is that the name? No, not Longest Yard. Replacements.
Yeah, I've seen that.
All the Replacements with Keanu Reeves.
The dude with the kicker with the cigarette. And you smoke the cigarette before you kick. Mm-hmm. Give me him.
I mean, yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun. So okay, so here's what I'm talking about, though. Okay, because I wanted to make sure I had some stats to back this up. So, in Detroit, last season, Michael Badgley did not attempt a field goal over 50 yards. He didn't attempt one. The year prior, from 50 plus, he was 2 out of 3. It looks like. So, but I'm just saying, like, to me, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of confidence there, which is what my issue is. Because, like I said, for the Chiefs, obviously they never want to kick a field goal, but if they do, nobody's freaking out in Kansas City going, "Oh my God, we might not make."
How much do you really want to accredit that to? Like just Dan Campbell I mean, no matter who back there, he gonna go for it. So how much of that?
I think that's a big part of it, but I also think that, like, okay, I know they haven't been good recently, but like you think about the Patriots, right?
Yeah.
When they had Adam Vinatieri,
it was solid. You had it in the bank. Yeah.
Right. You had it in the bank, but on top of that, okay, you get in that 4th down situation, you could go for it, but you also know, hey, we can get a guaranteed 3 points. And I think for Dan Campbell right now, he does not feel like I can get a guaranteed 3 points. So I would like to see what the evolution of Dan Campbell would be as a head coach if he knew I have got somebody that can kick that field goal and I don't have to stress.
Right.
So yeah, I would agree with you that I think a lot of it,
you think Dan Campbell kicking that field goal in overtime in the Super Bowl?
No, I don't think so either. I don't think he's doing that.
Yeah, no.
I also don't think, had we made the Super Bowl, I don't think we were going to overtime because I think we were going.
Oh, we wouldn't even been over. Yeah,
that's what I think would have happened. But that's just me. Because I was watching that game, being like, we would be up 35-0 right now. Like, what are we doing here? But anyway, so to go back to the list, now that I've talked about kickers for way too freaking long, we have got Dan Skipper coming back on a 1-year deal. We got Khalil Dorsey coming back on a new contract. We've got long snapper Scott Daly coming back. We got wide receiver Donovan People-Jones coming back as well. We also put out some tenders apparently to Craig Reynolds to keep him around. Zonovan Knight, Brock Wright, Kayode Awaska, which I hope I said that right, and edge rusher James Houston. And then, of course, we did lose some people, and we had some people retire as well, but not anybody that I wanted to, like, super highlight right now. I mean, obviously, the big one that we lost, I think everybody would agree, would be Jonah Jackson, because he's going to go and protect Matthew Stafford in L.A. So, but as far as the players that we brought back, again, anytime you can get to the Final Four, you should probably try to bring back everybody involved in that, right?
Damn near.
But I am concerned that the Amon-Ra St. Brown deal is not done yet. So I want to go to Nate Rucker. Nate, I think it's a foregone conclusion that we're going to get Amon-Ra back. But what do you think? What do you think that number is, and when do you think that?
That's a good question.
So when you look at Amon-Ra, you have to look at his production. And you're going to want to pay him top
What he
5
do?
receiver in the league. So realistically, you're truly talking between $23 million a year and $26 million a year. So is he worth it? Absolutely. Because what you don't want to do, you don't want him to go out and be like, okay, man, talking to other players like I did this, I did that, and they didn't even acknowledge me for it. Or they didn't, pay me high-end money for my production. So with that being said, you want to get him happy as soon as possible.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then we go from there.
Are you concerned at all that it hasn't been done yet?
No.
Okay.
No, because training camp, none of that stuff has started. So I'm really not concerned with that. Amon-Ra knows 100% sure that the Lions want him back. It's just going to be, okay, how much are we going to pay that person?
So I also wanted to throw out there for Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra is going to be the subject, or at least one of the subjects of the Netflix show Receivers. Folks who don't know, obviously they did a show called Quarterbacks last year, and I think they wanted to do it again this year, but the issue was they could not find any quarterbacks that wanted to be on the program. So they had to, kind of shift the focus of their show to be receivers. So Amon-Ra is going to be one of the people that has episodes done about him. Using footage from last season to do this. So that's most likely already done. All they got to do now is do interviews with him in front of a backdrop like what I'm doing tonight. But again,
it's going to be dope. From the players I've seen on there,
so what we got to do, we have
dope.
to make sure that he definitely gets the acknowledgement from us. He gets that praise from us because again, while we were still waiting on J-Mo's production, Amon-Ra held it down. Laporta held it down. But it's nothing without that deep field stretcher. So we're just going to continue to hope that he plays well, ends up well, because we're going to need your dog in the next day or two.
Hey, J-Mo ready, man. I seen him ready to come out against San Francisco, man. I swear I feel he's almost there.
I still remember right before that game, Cassandra and I were getting, I think, subs. Yeah, we're getting subs from our local gas station. And I said to her, I said, honey, I don't know. I think this game right here might be the J-Mo game. And then,
first play of the game,
three plays in, he runs that, and I'm like, oh, look out, here we go.
Hey, I was yelling like a mug. I was yelling like a mug. Yes, I was.
So as far as other players that we're expecting to hear something about, but we haven't yet, Jared Goff. Haven't heard nothing about a new contract for Jared Goff, other than that both sides were working towards it. And I'm going to assume that Brad Holmes said, okay, let's focus on making sure we solidify all these other things. So then we know how much money we have to negotiate with the quarterback and with our number one wide receiver. Let's get everything else set instead of, getting them set first and then having to, do whatever we can after that with whatever's left over. Let's
right.
that, reverse
I
that
agree.
strategy.
Hell yeah.
But I am a little bit like, could it be possible that they make Jared Goff play on the last year of his contract instead of giving him a new deal? So I want to send it over to Bobby Bless on this one. Bobby, I mean, how concerned would you be?
No, I'm not concerned.
I'm not. He doesn't have a new contract.
The training camp.
Yeah,
I still wouldn't be concerned because you know how many deals get done during training camp too. So I wouldn't be concerned until he's literally taking that first snap week 1 without the contract. To be honest, then I would say I'm concerned. If he starts the regular season without a new contract, there wouldn't be no reason to do it in week 3. So because he wouldn't have been able to show you what he was missing and from, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't be concerned. I'd be seeing what they like. It just showed me like they want more to prove from Goff, and just on the outside looking in, I don't feel like we need to see that. But Goff my guy kind of thing. But they're gonna make it work. You know what I mean? Because I feel like the reason why we haven't went all crazy in free agency is that too. You know what I mean? So it's good. It's good. It's good to see. And I think I want to see. I think, or Brad Holmes wants to see how all the pieces on the board line up, including those draft picks,
Mhm.
and to see. Then let's work on that because with being so early in free agency, a lot and being so close to the draft, there's a lot of willing and dealing, lying and dodging going on. So you gotta let the chessboard play out before we get to playing these guys, um because you know Brad Holmes, if he sees somebody he gonna get them. So let him let him get the draft going, and then let Burkett, old punk ass, start writing all the articles about how golf and all that. So that's Nate guy, Burkett.
Well, you know the hate's gonna be coming with it, so you can't really be mad about it. Listen, if they ain't talking about you, then you ain't doing something right. So
Right.
that's just what we gonna roll with.
So two things here, and then I want to toss it over to Nate for a little bit. So, Nate had said earlier about, how important it is to get this deal done with Amon-Ra, and I'm sitting here thinking about it, and, obviously I agree with Nate, but I think I even more agree with Nate because if I'm not mistaken, Amon-Ra is one of the first players from when Brad Holmes started here to actually have this conversation about having a new contract or a contract extension.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Nate's right on that because all those other players that have been drafted by Brad Holmes, they love Amon-Ra. And if they see Amon-Ra not get treated right, that will affect their negotiations whenever they come up for a contract. So I'll be curious to see what happens with that. Jared Goff, like I said, I've been on the record for the last couple months saying I do believe he deserves a contract extension. I had certain mile markers as a fan that I wanted to see him hit, and he smashed every single one of them, whether it was winning a division title or winning a couple playoff games, going on a run. The only thing the man didn't do was win the Super Bowl this year, but he was damn close to getting into the Super Bowl, and I believe if we would have got in, we would have won the dang thing. So for me, I believe he deserves that contract extension. I am also, because I am a Hendon Hooker guy, I am very excited to see how Hendon Hooker looks, in live action.
Me too.
I'm not even going to lie about that, okay? I do think Jared Goff deserves a contract extension, but I'm also very curious to see what the young kid can do out of Tennessee because we didn't get to see it last year. But the coaches were saying during the NFL meetings, I believe it was, or not NFL meetings, the combine, the coaches were saying, look, he made progress every day. Hendon Hooker made progress every single day. But we can't really say much more than that because he wasn't able to do like full-on quarterback because we were in the middle of the season. So, but like I said, I'm excited to see what Hendon Hooker does. I guess.
Yeah, I can't wait for preseason for that. I forgot about that too.
But Hendon, I guess, is spending a lot of time with Teddy Bridgewater to, learn how to be the second string guy and know what to do to help Jared Goff. So I think that's great. I do wish that he was, that the article would have came out and said he was splitting time between Teddy and Jared, but the article didn't say that. The article said he was spending time with Teddy. So there you go. But also kudos to Teddy Bridgewater because, he's retired now. He's a high school football coach for his former school, and he's still doing everything he can to help us. So kudos to him on that. Nate, I want to send it over to you, man. As far as the draft is concerned, we didn't get a chance to really, pick your brain on what you're thinking as far as, who we might get in that first round. So are there any guys right off the top of your head that you're really passionate about after the combine?
Well, mine are going to be defensive ends because Aiden Hutchinson is going to need help on the alongside. So defensive tackle was one, but because we got that big guy in the middle now, I'm hoping that they shoot for Chop Robinson, Penn State, defensive end, or if they want to go cornerback, due to certain mocks, I will go TJ Tampa out of Iowa State.
Okay.
So, those are my two. I'm just watching, waiting. just getting my information together so that we aren't blindsided.
Hey, we ain't
I
got a
think
chance to get my dude from
special night,
Toledo,
man.
huh? We ain't got a chance to get my dude from Toledo, huh? The Toledo corner.
Huh?
The Toledo corner. I can't think of his name right now.
Oh,
He been first
the
round,
thing is
mid
with him,
round.
he has flew up the draft boards. They
Yeah, but
had him
I
all
know
the
his
way.
competition ain't right.
Quinion Mitchell.
But when you talk
Yeah,
about corners,
he a beast. He a beast.
it's not so much about competition. It's about, especially when you're doing the underwear Olympics, it's about your reps, it's about your technique, it's about footwork, and it's your transition. They want to see how quick you transition from start, stop, go, left, right, whatever, and they want to see just how fast you can change direction. So that's actually huge. It's really huge.
So Nate, I gotta ask you, all right. Cooper DeJean. I have not seen any footage of him, but I've heard a lot of things about him. I'm just curious, like, is there any merit to get him?
I'm not a fan of him.
Okay.
Because number one, he's not a pure corner. To me. When it comes to the NFL, he reminds me of Bob Sanders, so you may see wherever he go.
Yeah, hitter, huh?
Yeah. Well, not even just a leader.
Hitter. A hitter. Yeah.
He hits, crashes everything at full speed. So that's where I'm at as far as Cooper. It's just, to me, just from the information I've gathered from what I've seen, is she's more female friendly than anything. So that wouldn't do us no good.
Female friendly? Is that what you said?
Yes. It's just, hey.
I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what are you talking about?
Bobby, you want to elaborate on that one?
No, go ahead, Nate. You got.
He said.
I heard part of female friendly. What you mean? He's
soft?
Friendly. You saying he's soft?
I won't say he's soft, but I would say easily distracted. Just some things that I've seen, like easily distracted.
Oh, okay, I got you now. Hey, if he can't turn once they walk by, he can't turn his head back around.
Nah,
that's what you're talking about, right?
Exactly.
Oh, all right.
My God, look, we done been together long enough.
I remember that. Yeah,
that's a new one.
No, it's not. Me and Nate been having this lingo for about almost 10 years damn near now.
Right. So technically,
once they walk by, he ain't gonna turn his head. He ain't gonna turn his head back. So you know the meme. Right. You know how the meme is.
So that's what the term female friendly is.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have the guys that when their heads on the swivel, they look left, they look right, whatever. Make sure they're clearing everything. Some guys who are female friendly, they forget to turn back around and they're stuck like this.
Keep your eyes on the prize, bro.
Right. Exactly. And so the girl done slapped the hell out of them because they've lost eyesight.
Right. Yeah.
See, I'm a one woman man.
No, you said that. He used to say that about Nevin Lawson.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, all the time because he never turned his head around. And the only reason why he couldn't get the pick because he could never turn his damn head around to see the ball.
He would be in perfect position. All thing he had to do was turn his head
and put his hands up and got it. Yeah. Sorry, Elijah. That was.
No, now I kind of want to hear Mel Kiper Jr. Say, hey,
Mel,
friendly corner over here, so I can.
Hey, tell him, Nate. You do not listen to Mel Kiper or Todd McShay or you have your own interpretation.
But right. Listen, Buddy Brooks, Daniel Jeremiah, Lou Riddick, whatever. At the end of the day, you have to do some type of research on your own so that
look at your own film.
You can truly be involved in these conversations and not repeating what somebody has told you to draft or what somebody has told you to say.
Right. So I'm at the end of my topics list for tonight, so I want to throw it over.
You're lying.
I want to throw it over to you because you haven't been here in a couple of weeks. So, is there anything big you want us to discuss?
I think what I want to talk about now, I want to go into the offensive line. So I looked at a lot of my drafts, as we normally do, and I see they have us taking things that we don't need as far as wide receivers and running backs, all this type of things. So I know that we ended up losing Jonah Jackson, but to our credit, according to PFF and our big numbers guy, Jonah Jackson was the worst out of our offensive line.
Okay.
So, with that being said, okay, we go out, we take the Pro Bowler from Baltimore, even though he's
3-time Pro
34.
Bowler.
Even though he's 34, we still have Sorsdal there who's getting his reps in, who continue to learn. So that right there is going to be huge as far as offensive linemen. I just truly hope that Brad Holmes goes out and get Aiden Hutchinson his Robin.
Yeah.
Actually, forget Robin. Get him his Nightwing. Get him an equal on the other side.
Alfred. Can he get an Alfred out here?
Right. Get him somebody on that other side so that you have consistent pressure up and down, continues to the game. As you continue to move bodies in and out, these guys are interchangeable. And watching Chuck Robinson run his 40, bench press and everything is like, wow. Like, we cannot pass up on another guy who may be just as spectacular as Michael Parsons, except for he's a pure defensive end. He's not a linebacker, just a pure defensive end. I hope that, hey, if he falls there, I hope that Brad Holmes them take him.
Okay.
Because I think that that's just an integral part.
So, quick question. As far as, the players that you're talking about in the draft, is there anybody, because I had mentioned to you, Nate, and actually it was funny because you and I talked about this player, but we haven't talked about this player while we've both been on the episode together.
Okay.
But I had mentioned Javon Solomon out of Troy, and I said that he was somebody that you don't got to get him in the first round. You could get him later on, and I think he could develop into something special, but I think he's being overlooked because of where he went to school. So I was just curious if you would agree with that, and if that would be a player that you would like.
Yes, I definitely agree. Again, like, I'm not opposed to what I got away from was looking at what a guy's production is versus a school versus his technique. Like, when I look at guys, especially me being a former corner, I look at these guys' technique. I look at their feet. I look at their hip transition. I look at their hands. Like, these are all the things that you need. You look for ball recognition. You're looking for high point in the football as well. Can you high point? And then when you do high point it, get back to the other way as fast as possible. And he has all that. So regardless of what school he's from, he has the tools to do something very, very special for his team. And truthfully, I hope he does it.
Yeah, like I said, I'm rooting for him, and he's somebody that I kind of latched onto early in the process. So we'll see what happens with that. But another thing that I wanted to bring up, because I forgot to mention this earlier, our division, I think our division is set for a lot of primetime games coming up this next season, because
our division is going to be pretty nasty.
I mean, it really, like, my God, like, I was expecting Kirk Cousins to come back to Minnesota. That didn't happen. He goes to Atlanta. You look at Green Bay, I thought they liked Aaron Jones. And then all of a sudden they kick Aaron Jones to the curb and they get Josh Jacobs. And then
he always hurt. He always hurt. So,
then Aaron Jones goes to Minnesota. Minnesota doesn't know who their quarterback's going to be, but at the moment they got Sam Darnold. And I'm like, okay, we'll see what happens with that. To Sam Darnold's credit, this is the first time in this man's career where he is being looked at as potentially the starting quarterback.
He ain't they drafting a quarterback. Ain't no way he's the starter. No way.
I think he will start the first couple games. But what I'm saying is that when he came into the league, everybody said, "Uh-oh, here comes the next Brett Favre. He even looks like Brett Favre." and he goes to the Jets where they don't put any talent around him. Then he goes to the Panthers. They don't put any talent around him. He goes to the 49ers. He never had a chance to start there because they love Brock Purdy. Now he's finally on team 4 of his career. He gets a chance to play with some talent.
Right.
So I think that could be interesting if they like him like that. But again, like Bobby just said, they could also draft somebody. And then you look at Chicago.
Please.
I mean,
They dirty dogs.
So
I'm
here's the
glad
thing.
Justin Fields gone from there.
I left my radio show on Friday to go down to Syracuse. On my radio show on Friday, I said, well, Justin Fields hasn't been moved yet, so maybe he's not going to be moved yet. I get down to my hotel in Syracuse, and then all of a sudden I see the NFL news pop up saying, hey, Justin Fields going to go be the backup quarterback in Pittsburgh to Russell Wilson. And I'm like, what in the world's going on right now? So, I mean, you got right now the only 2 teams that seem to kind of have it together and they're not in a rebuild is us and the Packers. Chicago.
So DeAndre Swift going to Chicago don't scare you?
No, because you know what's going to happen? DeAndre's going to play like 10 games and he's going to be hurt both times they play us.
Okay.
And I don't mean that as any disrespect, but
as history shows,
last season was the first year where he played every single game.
Had probably the best line in football down there.
And they didn't want to bring him back. The Philadelphia kid, and they didn't want to bring him back. So that, I mean, what does that show? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Chicago's like, hey, an injured running back, ooh, we want some of that, and that's why they're the Bears. Because that's
I just don't like how. What I don't like is, as my distaste for the Bears. I can't even really express it in words, like calm words, but I know that Justin Fields was a problem for the Lions without any help.
Right.
You get him legitimate help because to me, compared to what he had, other than DJ Moore and maybe the tight end Kmet, Keenan Allen, Swift, pretty good upgrades. Right. I think you use your other picks to get more legitimate talent, especially with the 2 top 10 picks.
Well,
and then you get rid of you get impatient and get rid of him for a 6th-round pick. So it's almost like you damn near cut him anyway. It's just not fair that he takes all them whoopings and then he get traded when they get some help. I just didn't like that. That's all.
No, I don't like that either. And the thing about Chicago, because now you got me going, okay? The thing about Chicago is the last 2 times that they have went to the Super Bowl, the quarterbacks of those teams didn't even complete 55% of their passes in that season.
Rex Grossman, McMahon.
And McMahon, you could argue it was a different era of football. Okay, I would listen to that argument, but if you're looking at just his stats, it was like 15 touchdowns to 13 interceptions, and again, he completed like 54% of his passes. Rex Grossman, you cannot make that argument with and say, well, it was a different era of football. No, he sucked, but he benefited from the Chicago Bears defense and Devin Hester.
Yeah,
that's why they got to that Super Bowl. Which I'm happy to see Devin Hester is going to be going into the Hall of Fame. That man
well deserved. I hate him because he's good. But yes,
but like
that's why I hate him.
The one thing that Chicago has never been able to do
is get a quarterback.
Draft and develop a quarterback.
Mm.
You can't even count Jay Cutler because Denver drafted Jay Cutler.
Right.
But Chicago, they're like quarterback repellent. So I was thinking if they haven't gotten rid of Justin Fields by now, maybe they'll keep him. And then I'm looking at that wide receiver room and I'm going, damn, that actually might be something now.
Right.
You got Keenan Allen. You got Swift, who is fast and he's great when he's healthy. Maybe you go out in the draft and you get Marvin Harrison Jr. and there you go. You got
and with DJ Moore. And with DJ Moore too.
Right.
That's man.
But then they say, you know what? We'd much rather kick you to Pittsburgh for nothing hardly, and we're going to go draft somebody that's going to struggle now.
but that's the only solid I say they gave him is giving him going to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But other than that, the Bears didn't do him no favors.
But like I said, I'm interested to see, because like I remember last season in the lead up, they said, watch out for the Bears. This might be when they put it all together with Justin Fields. And I watched that week 1 game. I watched it between them and the Green Bay Packers, and I was bored out of my mind because Chicago didn't do a damn thing that everybody said they were going to do. And I just feel like they're one of those teams. And I feel bad for Bears fans. Now, granted, they've been to a Super Bowl. They've won a Super Bowl, good for them. But I just feel like lately they have not had much to cheer about. And, here goes another quarterback. And Justin Fields is going to be blamed, even though it's really the fault of that administration there in Chicago.
Oh, for sure. And do you remember in the sometime in the season he got in trouble for calling out the Bears coaching?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think part of the reason why they shipped him out the door too. Cause I'm figuring the guy, Eberflus guy, I figure he said I can't he's a big part of I can't do nothing with him type. I'd rather have the USC kid. You know what I mean? Cause because common sense would tell you every year that Justin Field has been in the NFL, he has had a different coordinator.
Right.
So he hasn't seen the same offense 2 years in a row. And for a quarterback, I mean, like, that's like not fair. Like, it's really not fair to draft him in where they drafted him and him having to learn a new offense every season he's been there.
Yeah.
Not cool. Not cool at all.
The only other quarterback that I can remember going through something similar, which is part of the reason why I love this guy, is Baker Mayfield.
Right.
Went through a similar thing, having a different coordinator every year. And you know what? Baker Mayfield is a rare story where it turns out to be okay because he just got himself a new home for the next 3 years in Tampa Bay. They appreciate him, and he's playing for a fan base down there in Tampa that as long as they have an even record, they'll love you.
Hey, shout out to one of my good friends, Greg Harris. He's one of the biggest Cleveland Brown fans I know. And he said Baker Mayfield plays better when it's not cold. So him going, it's like if he said when he was with Cleveland, his worst games was when it was cold. But when we're playing out somebody in the warm or something, he plays better. So he said him going to Tampa was a match made in heaven. So
I agree.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
Tampa Bay is a very laid-back franchise. Like if they win one Super Bowl, man, they're good for the next 10 years. They don't. But as far as Justin Fields is concerned, I will be very curious to see what happens with him and Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh because right now Pittsburgh's general manager looks like the cat that ate the canary because he's got a 1 and 2 quarterback system for $4.5 million. That's all they're paying their first.
Yeah, and then the Denver paying that $38 million for him.
Which
I'm telling you, they're gonna get rid of Russell after the first year. That's what I think.
Well, y'all remember Donnie Despaw, who does our Licorice Pizza show here on YouTube.
Yeah.
He's a diehard Denver Broncos fan. So I told him, I said, you realize, Donnie, they're gonna pay him $38 million not to play for your
right.
team. He's like, stop rubbing it in. But anyway. But Minnesota, to kind of finish up talking about the other teams in our division, Minnesota, like I said, they're interesting because you got Sam Darnold for the first time in his career. He's got some talent around him. I have heard that maybe Justin Jefferson might leave, which would suck for him. But yeah, man, our division, I think we're queued up for some primetime games this year. Because I think our division has a lot of interest to it. Nate Rucker, we haven't heard you talking a little bit, man. So I want to get you in on this. Other teams in our division, anything that you're kind of, looking at, and do you agree that our division might be the most interesting in football and might actually finally be recognized for that with a bunch of primetime games this year?
I think he might be off again.
He might be. Nate's a trooper, by the way, man. Because he's working 2 jobs and still making sure that he can come on the podcast. And he might be sleeping right now.
Updating apps and stuff on the fly and all kind of stuff.
But I know that Nate did say before we went off on this tangent that, obviously our division's going to be pretty interesting. I'm trying to think here. Saquon Barkley, that was kind of interesting too, Bobby.
Yeah,
Him going from the
I
Giants
really,
to the Eagles.
yeah. And then the thing that was funny to me is how mad the Giants fans were for a guy y'all didn't want to pay. You know what I mean? Like you would think that with them paying what's the damn quarterback name for the Giants,
Daniel
man?
Jones.
Yeah, Daniel, you think you paying him, you'll be, ready to storm the Capitol. LOL. So like I don't know. Dude, like why? And then they get mad. He go to where you think he gonna go? He
Right,
went to Penn State. Where
right.
you think he go? He gonna go either there or Pittsburgh. But honestly, like with that offensive line, like I had mentioned earlier when we was talking about DeAndre Swift, if they could turn Swift into serviceable, is that what I can say? More than serviceable? I don't know. They can probably make Saquon Barkley a Pro Bowler a Hall of Famer. Meant to say because the skills are there.
Yeah.
He not by himself with the Eagles. He was by himself with the Giants. So
Right.
I see him being more useful. To be
I
honest, that's scary.
I'm curious to find out what's going to happen when they get to the 1 yard line and Saquon Barkley says, "Hey, do y'all mind if I run it in?" And Jalen Hurts says,
No,
"How about no?
Saquon.
How
I think
about no? This is where
I
I
think
get half my touchdown."
Saquon Barkley a team player, man. I don't think he don't even care about nothing like that. To be honest.
Nate Rucker, you are back, my friend. So I want to toss it over to you, man. Me and Bobby were just talking about the division.
Oh
And
no, I've been back. I've been listening.
okay,
I'm just sitting here. Yeah, I was sitting drinking water and eating, but no, I've been here. I heard you.
okay. So what do you think about all that?
Um, well, I think Jalen Hurts and his push tush might be coming to the end. Um, but again, I think I want us to be more hyperactive, like the teams that are used to being here. You know what I mean? At some point, we can't keep playing. We can keep playing for new guys, but you don't want to keep having to train all of them, times be behind. You want them to come on already ready.
Right.
So we gonna see, man. Hey, I trust Big Bob, so I'm gonna roll with it.
So as far as teams in our division, Nate, and
Mm-hmm.
the different moves they've made, who's the most interesting to you at the moment?
Chicago, simple.
Now,
Chicago.
are they interesting, or do you think they're going to do something with it?
I think both.
Okay.
I think both. But downside is, if you're expecting Justin Fields to beat you all game with his arm, you're going to have a problem. But when you look at the games that they lost there, you're like, wait a minute, y'all scored that many points with that? So it's like, anything else is going to be an upgrade.
Who do you think their quarterback's going to be? Because Justin Fields is in Pittsburgh now.
Caleb.
Yeah, I think. Can I say the fairy godmother? No. But I would not be surprised if it's somebody other than Caleb Williams.
Okay.
Because to me, Caleb's not the best quarterback. True, honest. That's just to me.
I appreciate.
He made some throws.
I appreciate because I got my own opinion on Caleb, but I'll let you continue.
Yeah, I do too. To me, he decided to run and go do all this other stuff. Like, he's not my favorite at all. I think, if anything, if it was me, my 1-2 quarterbacks would be Bo Nix and Drake May. But not even Drake May. I like
Pennox.
Drake May.
I like Pennox, how he threw.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm going to say Michael Penix would be, truthfully, the direction that the Bears need, because he's a pocket passer who will use his legs as secondary. So you need somebody to utilize all these weapons you got, and is going to get the ball to these guys down the field. And that's what Michael Penix does. So Chicago's my headache team.
So let me throw this out there, and Nate, don't go away, because I want to ask you if you agree with this, okay? So here's the deal. All right, I just pulled up the schedule for USC last year. because everybody's all about Caleb Williams because of what he might be able to do. Oh, he might be the next Pat Mahomes. I've heard all sorts of crap, right?
I definitely don't see that when we've watched you before you got to USC completely be, I won't say non-existent, but not the player that they have you as now.
Right. So here's where I'm coming from on the Caleb Williams stuff. I think he is a talented player. Let me say that right out the gate. He is a talented player who could work out. But what I'm looking at is what did he do last season? Because he's being talked about like he won the national championship, and that was not the situation. Last year, USC went, as I'm looking here, they beat San Jose State, they beat Nevada, they beat Stanford, they beat Arizona State, they beat Colorado, and they beat Arizona. So they start out the season 1, 2, 3, 4, 6-0. 6-0, they start out the season. But then when they get to the teams that are ranked, they fall apart. They go 2-5 to end the year. They lose to Notre Dame, Utah, Washington, Oregon, and UCLA. The only other 2 wins they have was against Louisville in the bowl game, and they ended up beating California at California after they started out 6-0. So to me, I'm looking at it going, wait a minute, like any other quarterback on any other team, if we were talking about, their draft stock and we said one half of the season they were this, but then the back end of the season when the competition got real, they became this, that would not be a number 1 overall quarterback. But yet everybody's saying, no, Caleb Williams is that guy. Nate, would you agree with that?
I do, but then again, like I'm not a Caleb Williams fan. To me, he hasn't done enough. Like I say, I look at even though Michael Penix, he left and went to another school, but even before Michael Penix left Indiana, he was still putting up numbers.
Yeah,
and he got a nice
that's
arm.
The difference between him and Caleb Williams. Like, why did you have to go to a better situation to produce?
Right. No, fair point. And I will say with Penix, I love Penix. The only problem,
he's sweet.
The only problem that Penix has, and I wish it wasn't an issue,
his knee,
is his injuries. And I don't judge him for that. Just to be clear, I don't judge him for that. But like all these other scouts are going to.
Oh yeah, that's why they're not going to give him the top touting. Yeah, because
Bo Nix, I love Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix is fantastic. But again, because he didn't win the national championship, he's not being talked about. But he did outduel Caleb Williams. So it's like, I'm just curious. Just but. Every year they do this, right? They pick one quarterback and they say, this is the once in a generation talent, which it's not once in a generation if it happens every year. But anyway, so we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, it kind of seems like Caleb Williams to the Bears is a foregone conclusion. Although I would not be shocked if the Bears decided, you know what, we're going to pick Marvin Harrison Jr. number 1.
That'd be sweet.
That would not.
I mean, no, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be sweet. I'd be mad, but that's what I would do.
I remember back in 2007, everybody said there ain't no way that Calvin Johnson's going to go number 2. He's a wide receiver. Wide receivers don't go that high. But there was some legitimate conversation about Calvin going number 1 to the Raiders. And I'm not saying that Marvin Harrison Jr. is Calvin Johnson because they're different players, but I'm just saying Harrison Jr. is the best wide receiver in this class.
By a mile.
By a mile. And for Chicago, if they're smart, they could look at this and go, hey, we could legitimately complete our wide receiver room for the foreseeable future by drafting this kid right here. Because he can develop underneath DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. And then it doesn't matter who your quarterback is because your quarterback's going to have 3 great options.
Yeah.
But like I said, the Bears are going to bear, so we'll see what happens. I think their fan base says "bear down," which kind of
that's some dumbass slogan.
Right, the Bears are down. They're definitely down.
Well, it's just to me, it sounds like you're bracing for impact. You know what I mean? Bear down, look out! Here comes the tragedy.
Right.
But anyway, I agree though. I think they're interesting. And Minnesota, I don't know, man. I don't trust Minnesota. Something about that seems odd.
I hope
we flip flop with them. They'll be the bottom of the barrel team of the division.
Yeah.
And I tell you just like this. I hope the coach named O'Connell, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, man. Go ahead and put the sign in the yard to get the process started because they about to fire your ass, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
So you
it's
might as well
coming.
put yeah, go ahead, put the house on the market, man. Get in front of it now. So
And
because go ahead, big dog.
oh, sorry, but
No, I'm just talking junk anyway.
they're not in our division, but the Falcons are interesting to me because to me, I would not have ever given Kirk Cousins that type of money because I've never viewed Kirk Cousins as that type of dude. But I will say that I have family who like the Falcons. Obviously, I'm from Atlanta, so I kind of have an interest in them anyway. Um, but for me, I'm looking at it going, well, everybody's pointing to the primetime games, right? They're saying, oh, primetime games, Kirk Cousins sucks. We get that, right? He is Joe Montana in the 1 o'clock time slot. He is, Kerry Collins in any other time slot. But the thing that, makes me laugh is Atlanta don't play a whole lot of primetime games. A lot of their games are at 1 o'clock. So it would not shock me if they come out the gate firing all cylinders because they're playing 1 o'clock after 1 o'clock. But I will say, Atlanta, they may draft a quarterback. I know they got Kirk Cousins, but they may draft somebody to be behind him because they sent Desmond Ritter out to Arizona where his
He
career,
was sorry. He's sorry.
but that's where his career is going to die, is going to be in Arizona with the heat in the desert. But like I said, I'm just looking at it and I'm going, Atlanta, they might want to draft somebody to be behind Kirk Cousins. And I was hoping that they would go save Justin Fields, but they decided Kirk Cousins was who they wanted instead. But Bijan, I just hope the best for Bijan, because I think Bijan deserves to have a good career in the NFL. He seems like a good guy. And I would just really hate to see Bijan Robinson play 6 years for the Falcons, have all his talent used up, and then get kicked to the curb, having never won anything, because we see that happens with, see that happen with running backs. And I know Jameer is going to be well taken care of, but Bijan, I don't know, and I also feel bad for Kyle Pitts too, because Kyle Pitts is like, please, I'm open. Just somebody get me the ball.
Hey, one thing I can say about Kirk Cousins, he gonna get them playmakers a chance to get the ball though.
Oh yeah. Kyle Pitts stock should go up for sure because he's going to have a guy. He's going
and the
to
Ohio State kid, too. What's the London? Drake London.
Yeah, Drake London. That's from USC. Drake London.
Who the Ohio State kid that went there from? I can't think of his fucking name.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Let me figure it out.
Okay. But yeah, I just, that's a team that I'm kind of looking at going, you know what? They're kind of interesting. We'll see what happens there. And as far as Carolina Panthers are concerned, I feel bad for Bryce Young. I mean,
they suck.
I feel really bad. I feel like Bryce Young is not set up for success because it's not even him though. It's the owner of the team is too dang impatient to let anybody come in and do anything. He wants to win right now. And he doesn't realize you actually got to build it, We got about 10 minutes left in the program here, so we'll get to final remarks because I believe Nate Rucker's got to hit the bed. My friend, he's been toughing it out. So, Nate,
man,
go first on closing remarks, man. What do you got for us?
Basically, man, just don't get if people have anything. Well, if people have paid attention to anything, it's Brad Holmes does not go for the sexy pick. When it comes to drafting, when it comes to free agent, he's never going to go for the guy that we think he should or the guy that we think is going to fit us best. He's always going to do the opposite. So, again, just trusting the process. Don't get frustrated. Just continue to let the team build. And whatever vision he has, hey, it seems to be working. So let that man cook.
Bobby Bless, first, were you able to find that player's name? And second,
I'm looking.
Remarks.
I think, as usual, I think the damn resident defensive coordinator was right. The guy is Drake. That's what I was talking about. Sorry.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, Drake London.
Drake London.
I couldn't remember what school he was from. I just remember.
USC.
I got it confused with the Saints receiver, Olave. That's what I got confused with from Ohio State.
Yeah,
that's what I got.
Chris Olave.
Yeah,
Yeah,
from Ohio.
yeah,
Yeah,
Chris
but
Olave.
no, yeah, the Drake London kid, I remember him. Yeah, but yeah,
Okay.
I think that as far as my final words, like believe it or not, me and Nate, this is how we became solid just doing this draft process. And the key things I think about other than head turning part is the is the like I said earlier, get your own interpretation.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to a team like most of us, we know our Detroit Lions from the front to the back, you know. So
Learn
you
other
add,
things.
yeah. So you just because the guys Nate mentioned before, Lewis Riddick, Mel Kiper, all of them, they study them for a couple weeks out the year. We study them all year. So don't don't let the film Nate pick for you to see be your determination. Go on the YouTube like us on the Hunt podcast do. Watch the whole game film. Watch their bad plays. Watch their good plays. Because there's a lot of when we like to see fancy stuff. We like to see fancy stuff on these highlights. And if you see a bunch of highlights of one guy, you don't know none of the weaknesses. The weaknesses matters. And they matter so much. They matter so much. Your weakness is gonna probably put you in a city that don't think highly of them, or you're gonna push you out the city. Like you could be a high draft pick, but if your weaknesses will determine where you're drafted. And you know we got a grit team. So if you see a player that looks soft or always ran over or just getting beat, you know he's not gonna be on the Lions. But the main thing is man, get your own interpretation, man. Only because a lot of times, even with the great guru Elijah Winfrey, we get told who we gonna get, who we supposed to get, and then boom, Jahmyr Gibbs. So like Elijah is living proof of go with your own interpretation. I specifically remember telling Elijah that Gibbs is going to be a second round pick. That I remember telling him that. So you never know, man. You never know what these guys think. We're not in the boardroom with them, and the guys on ESPN definitely not. And believe it or not, they probably go against what they say. You know what I mean? They go against what they say. So yes, you be your own scout. Short but sweet.
All right. Well, hey, I'll go ahead and wrap this thing up here, and I'll keep it brief, my friends. Again, we want to thank you for supporting the podcast. This was episode 65, by the way.
Yep.
If you enjoyed it, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I should have said that a lot more than I did. This is the first time I said it tonight, so whoopsie. But anyway, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe because we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, but we can't get there without your help. So make sure you help us do that. I think right now we're at like 587, which is pretty dang good. So,
man,
we just got to keep it moving, keep it moving. But with that being said, Reggie was not able to join us tonight because he was getting some home improvement done, not from Tim Allen, but from some actual professionals. So want to, obviously say thank you from Reggie because I know he'd want me to say that. For the #1 Lions fan, Mr. Bobby Bless. For Nate Rucker, our resident defensive coordinator, I'm Elijah Winfrey. And hey, remember, be good to yourself.